As a lifelong bummer myself,
I'd like to see the White House. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got to behave yourself if you want to see the White House, right?
May I take down your particulars?
Well, that is misogyny right there. Honestly, you're doing yourselves no favours right now.
Do you have a vagina as well? This is misogynistic to hold.
It might be.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Deadliners, our new current affairs program run by comedians. This is a great program. You know, I'm the chairman of the board. That's B-O-R-E-D. I am so bored. I'm Dr. Roger Giebold, and I cannot listen anymore to the nonsense that we're fed all day long by politicians, the media, and everywhere you look. And in this country and elsewhere, it seems to me that everything is upside down, inside out, and backwards. And we put this program together because, you know, comedians speak the truth. The point is that they wrap it up in humor and it becomes acceptable. It becomes palatable to us because the truth sometimes can be shocking or scary, but we accept it when it comes as humor. And that's why comedians are probably one of the best sources of truth that there is. So you're going to get the true versions of what's happening. You're going to get the real story behind the stories on this program. And we are not a newspaper. We're not tomorrow morning's papers. If you want that, go to the amazing Patrick Christus at 11 o'clock on GB News, where you will get the newspapers. We are a current affairs show run by comedians, and we've got some of the top ones in this country with us and elsewhere. On my left, I've got Andy Zapp, who is a very well-known old-time British comedian. He's older than soil. He's been around so long.
Duh.
On my right is our producer, James Bembridge, who's also the deputy editor of Country Squire magazine, if you've ever seen that. Next to him is the Italian-Iranian Nicholas DeSanto, a very famous comedian. And on Zoom, we've got Bruce Devlin, one of the greatest and funniest compeers in the country. Bruce is everywhere, and he's also got an absolutely terrible acerbic wit. And you know, we also have, believe it or not, President Donald Trump and Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, who are going to drop in and talk about all the current things going on in the news today, all the big stories. So welcome to our very first show. We hope you like it. And please contact us and let us know if you enjoyed the show and if you have any suggestions. Thank you very much. Mr. President, thank you very, very much indeed for, especially during this crucial time when your time must be so very limited, for coming on our new program here to talk to us. It's a great honor. And you seem to be becoming the world's peacemaker, and you know the whole world is asking what is going to happen next with Israel and Iran. You certainly made your feelings clear that was a television first. You're using the F-bomb, and quite a moment in television, I must say. It certainly had its desired effect because people paid attention. There's no doubt about that. But the real question, sir, is what's going to happen next? What do you want to happen next, and what do you think will actually happen if there's any difference?
Well, of course, we want peace. You know, I got along very well with Iran. I get along very well with Israel, and we've got a ceasefire, a beautiful ceasefire, the greatest ceasefire the world has ever seen. There's never been a more beautiful ceasefire. And you look at it, we've done a very good job. We dropped the 30,000-pound bunker busters, Stacey Abrams, Chris Christie. We dropped them right onto the Fordow nuclear site, right? And I'm hearing there was a nuclear meltdown worse than Chris Christie after Pizza Hut, if you know what I'm talking about. It's not a very good scene. But we took care of it. We took care of it. And there's a lot of people who are very happy about it. Even Ireland wanted to join in. They wanted to drop their bunker buster on it. Rosie O'Donnell, who lives there now. You look at it, we've made a beautiful deal. We've done a tremendous job. And we're looking for peace, right? We're looking for peace in the Middle East. We're doing very well, making deals, and we're trying for peace. That much I can tell you.
That's fantastic. And what about other places? What about Gaza? What about the southern border of the United States? What about Ukraine? What are you going to do there, sir?
Well, you look at our southern border, there were a lot of bad hombres that were coming across the southern border. We're building a big, beautiful, highly respected wall. It's the greatest wall the world has ever seen. And we're fixing the illegal immigration problem. You have a lot of bad hombres. You look at Gaza, and they have a lot of problems in Gaza, too. We're thinking of putting the Trump Hotel or something. We're going to make Gaza great again and do a tremendous job. You look at Ukraine. I get along well with Putin. I don't get along well with Zelensky because Zelensky is he's a crazy person. He came to the White House. He threw a temper tantrum. So we put him in timeout for a little while. But we don't like that guy. He dances around with his stilettos and all of his crazy. We don't like that guy. He's got to get a hold of himself. He's got to get it under control. But I get along well with Putin. I get along well with a lot of people. But you look at Putin, and I get along better with him than Crooked Joe ever did. You look at him. They called it Tootin' with Putin when Crooked Joe was with him. But I get along well with Putin, and we're going to get a deal done in Russia too. We're going to get many, many beautiful deals, and we're going to have peace all over the place. In Gaza, we're going to have peace in Russia and Ukraine, and we're going to fix our border. These people, these bad, sick people are not going to come into our country anymore.
Well, I've got to tell you, sir, as it happens, I actually know President Trump, and I've never heard anybody that sounds so much like him. Maybe it is actually you, Mr. President. I'm not sure, but you haven't mentioned where we are here, those of us around the table and on the screen, which is the United Kingdom. You haven't mentioned Sir Keir Starmer, our relatively new prime minister. And, right next to you on your right on the screen is the deputy prime minister of the United Kingdom, Angela Rayner. And I'd like to introduce the two of you and see what you have to say to each other.
Well, it's good to meet you. I know Angela very well. I get along well with the United Kingdom. Both of our countries didn't get along very well for a long time, especially in 1776. So we did a lot of damage, and we signed a beautiful deal in Philadelphia, a lot of people. But now we get along very well. And we're threatening to do tariffs. So we had a beautiful trade deal with the UK. And I think Angela's a fine person. I can tell you that. I think she's a fine person. Sometimes a little kooky, but she's a fine person. I can tell you that.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say. I used to go to a bar called 1776. It was absolutely cracking night. And it is nice to talk to you in person as well, because I usually just speak with JD. And so it is nice to actually speak to you. And maybe, depending on how things go with the people at the top here, maybe you and I could be speaking together, more often. I'm not suggesting anything in particular. I'm just saying maybe, possibly, we might be, speaking more often in person. That's all. I'd like to see the White House. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got to behave yourself if you want to see the White House, right? We don't let anybody in here. There's a lot of people who, you got to behave, right? And JD's a tremendous guy, the hillbilly, right? He's a hillbilly vice president, but you have to be very careful if you want to come to the White House. We don't let anybody in the White House, just anybody. It's a privilege. And now you got this guy.
From Jew and on, the Star and Stripes, and Dr. Strangelove is here. He's lost his hair, but he's here. And we got an Iranian Italian. MIGA, make Iran great again. MIGA. And there's going to be another MIGA with make Italy great again and make Ireland great again. MIGA. And make Israel. Loads of MIGAs in the hood. Yeehaw!
I'm sorry for that interruption. He calls himself Jewanon, like
Shaman Simpson!
like QAnon. I'm not sure whose side he's on or what he's rebelling against or whatever, but please do carry on.
Well, I think he has a lot of problems.
You were saying, Angela, you're not making any suggestions or anything, but you'd very much like to be talking directly to the president rather than sitting like J.D. Vance on the sidelines.
As an equal.
Well,
As an equal, yeah.
I absolutely love JD. He's from a working class background. I'm from a working class background. So we've got loads in common. But, I like to work my way up. And President Trump has done just that with a lot of hard work. And I'm an hard worker, and we are the party of the worker, and we support working people. And I just think that we would just get along really, really well. So I'm looking forward to possibly working with you more closely. So, yeah.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that. You talk about working your way up, and we had a vice president previous to me who did that. She worked her way from the ground up. And maybe you're not supposed to say it, but she did a lot of work on her knees. I can tell you that. Kamala Harris, a very bad person and a very stupid person. And when you look at her neck, she's got a gizzard. She looks like it's Thanksgiving. I call it the Gizzard of Oz, right? You look at it. She's got a lot of problems. And she said she worked at McDonald's. She never worked at McDonald's, although maybe she had a relationship with Ronald McDonald. I got along well with him, too. He originally wanted to call the chain Donald's, but I said, you don't want to do that. So they called it McDonald's. But I don't know if we could work together. I don't know if we could work together. Maybe we can. I'm very easy to work with. But for now, I think we'll leave you with JD, right? I think we'll leave you with JD. I think he's doing a tremendous job. And you'll never be my equal. I can tell you, nobody's my equal. You look at it, I'm the greatest. I look in the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the greatest one of all? They say, you, sir. The mirror says, you, sir. So nobody will ever be my equal. I'm the greatest of all time. They call me the GOAT, which made a lot of people in Iran very excited, if you know what I'm talking about. I said, don't get any ideas. You know that? The Ayatollah said, the GOAT. I said, no, not that type of GOAT. We don't want to do that. But I'm the greatest of all time, and everybody knows that. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I do hope you're enjoying the show. We're actually trying out things that we really think will entertain you. And on that note, just one of, I say this about a lot of people, but just one of my favorite comedians, Dominic Frisby, couldn't be with us tonight, but we're going to play, with his permission, a couple of his best clips. He is unbelievable. He's so funny. He identifies sometimes as the Walmart Jordan Peterson, for those of you who get that. He is a great comic, and so I hope you enjoy this clip and the other clip of him that we're going to play later.
I find myself single again, looking for love once again. Let her be beautiful, let her be fun. Oh dear Lord, this time let her be the one. And if I could just ask you one other thing, most of all, dear Lord, please make her right wing. I want a right wing woman, she could be my rock. Not too tall or too small, best of all is she doesn't have a cock. Give me a right wing woman, she should own her own stuff. Uses inches and feet, likes red meat and looks darn great in the buff. Doesn't watch TV, no BBC, she won't fall for their tricks. Her news complex is Twitter X, she can see the bias in Wikipedia. She keeps her savings in Bitcoin, she knows that fiat is dead. Has some gold, guns and cans, quotes Ayn Rand, and she wants to end the Fed. Give me a Trump-loving hottie who worships Harry Malay, who can spell, use Excel, knows done well Emmanuel Macron's gay. She doesn't vote, she pays no tax, her diet's high in protein. She has a gun, is Christian. Sometimes just before bed she will clean my earwax. She knows the climate stuff's bollocks. Our kids are homeschooled. Uses spray paint to jam traffic cameras. She's good in fossil fuels. She thinks Keir Starmer's a dickhead. Most of Hollywood too. She's so based, such great taste, not so chaste. She will give me that coup. Cooks lovely food, cares for our brood. She's got a genius IQ. Has so much style, a lovely smile. She'll make our house so nice and she will do the ironing. Put all of this into Tinder. It found me a catch. She was loud, she was shrill, I felt ill. Greta Thunberg was my match.
You're an amazing president, Mr. President, and your self-confidence. You remind me of another great British comedian who's unfortunately rather too old to be here with us tonight. But I remember the famous Scottish comedian Arnold Brown said once, you know, I look up at night at the stars and I realize how significant I am.
Well, we share a lot of ground in that regard. We share a lot
Absolutely.
of common ground in that regard. You know, I look at the stars, I see myself, I've got a constellation, and they're also putting me on Mount Rushmore. On my own mountain, it's going to be called Mount Trumpmore, and it's going to be beautiful, I can tell you. Carved in solid gold. Carved in solid gold. It's going to be tremendous.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, sir, and we will hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you very much. You're beautiful people, I can tell you that.
Thank you. And Angela will stay with us, and we'll be with you again in a few minutes. I think, Nick, you've got a story that you want to comment on?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Speak up a bit. Yeah.
within 1 week, the UK Parliament has approved, the House of Commons to be precise, has approved 2 bills which are very much about killing. Decriminalized abortion of babies up to birth, and then the so-called assisted dying.
Mhm.
So
Two bills about killing. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, it's almost as if we are not a Christian country anymore. I would like to listen to what the president has to say about that later. But not only the left imports future voters through open borders in the hope of amnestying them later or giving them a path to citizenship, as they call it in the States, but now their strategy has become double-pronged. They have gone after the voters, the actual voters, and the potential voters of the opposition, trying to kill them. Because let's face it, these are going to be a lot of white people, whether unborn or elderly, to be killed because Muslims or Asians, they don't do many abortions and they don't send their grandpa or grandma to the dying pod. So that's where we are right now.
They should have aborted you. They only rape women in Bradford.
You can only apologise.
Okay. True, though, true.
It's true. It's true. It's completely. I think he's the sanest panelist on the show, actually.
So that makes sense.
Angela, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, people, you know, vote the way that they do, and you know, it's not for me to say one way or the other how people should vote, and it is, you know, that is the thing about this country were allowed to have a say on important matters. And, I might have abstained from one, and I might have voted, against another. Who knows? Who knows? It's just that, it is very, very important that everybody in Parliament has their say. We don't really care too much about what the general public think about it, or whether they would want some sort of a referendum on it, because we know what happens when the British public are given the opportunity to have referendums. It causes no end of trouble. So we've decided to just take care of the business in-house, and it is what it is. There's nothing you can do to change it now. It is just how it is. We just accept it.
Absolutely. Angela, can I ask you something?
Go on.
So, of course, I'm against assisted dying, but, I'm feeling the cost of living. Every week, food prices seem to rise. But, my mother, you'd love my mother, Angela. She wears all those little shoes that you do. But my mother owns quite a sizable house, which I stand to inherit. So I was just wondering, Angela, when do you think this assisted dying bill will actually come into effect?
Well, I don't know what you're trying to suggest here, and I don't want to incriminate myself by answering that question. So I think we'll just move it along pretty quick.
But actually, this is the idea. Call me overly cynical, but by pushing for this assisted dying, they're trying to remove pressure off the NHS.
Of course.
They are trying to get inheritance tax. So you better, I don't know what you were suggesting there, but if you're hoping.
Yeah, it's kind of like Angela not suggesting dealing with President Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe I'm a cynical one here, but you better have the inheritance tax to pay, because that might actually jeopardize your hopes of getting your hands on the inheritance, because the government, they remove the burden or ease the burden on the NHS. They get their money on the inheritance tax. Some people suggest that frees up more homes for the new arrivals, which will be their future.
Soylent Green is people. We can eat them afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it's a multi-level, multi-pronged strategy, which serves the purposes of the Labour Party, because they can manage the NHS, and they don't have enough electors because the natives don't, and the Brexit referendum, which Angela was mentioning, 1/3 of the Labour Party voters turned their back on them. So they just thought, okay, so let's kill them. COVID did not nearly kill enough elderly people who are traditionally conservative voters. So let's go for assisted dying, all about more choice.
How does that assisted work? What's it look like? You know what I mean? Sounds all right,
It
actually.
means less Tory voters, frees up NHS beds, they don't have to pay pensions.
But what about my insurance policy then? Like, will they pay out? Will they pay out my insurance?
Well, I think you need to consult the insurance company, but if you opt for it, I doubt the insurance company
would insure me.
Well, that's also a good question, because if they know it's effectively suicide, right? So they shouldn't be paying. I don't think
this sounds very, very conspiratorial. You sound like a bunch of conspiracies. Can't even say it, but you sound like them, and I don't think it's very good. You shouldn't be sitting around speculating about things like that. You don't know. You're not.
Listen, darling, I'm close to death.
Are the conspiracy, you whore?
Oh, sorry about that, Ange.
I think we need help.
There's no point in getting into journalism if you can't spread misinformation. We're spreading misinformation. We love it.
There's a lot of dangerous misinformation going on here.
Misinformation, absolutely.
It's all right to kill. Look, take it from me. It's all right to kill old people. It's good. Get rid of them.
Well, I'm not killing nobody.
Helping
Keep me out of it.
Helping the debt thing. You know what I mean? That stuff. I'm all for it, mate. You take me when you want me. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I've had a life.
Andy, about that will of yours that we were discussing.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Well, I haven't written it yet. The only reason I haven't written the will is because
I've offered to write it for you.
Oh, how much? £19.53. You can get a will, £19.53 now. That's great. You know what I mean? I'm all for it.
Let's move on to Miss Bruce Devlin here.
Darling.
Bruce,
It's got quite this spicy story.
yeah, you must be bursting to tell us this story.
Well, I think there's a few inaccuracies in this story. It's to do with flight attendants that were in Milan that were booked into a sex dungeon thinking it was a hotel. And apparently they were so shocked they weren't able to go to work the next day. Now, as a lifelong bummer myself, I genuinely, I refute that information that homos can do all sorts of things all night and turn up and do a shift. I understand why some of the bummers were upset there was a vaginally shaped bed, because that's not their thing, because a lot of them are heterophobic, unfortunately. But I just find it a bit ridiculous that they couldn't sleep in a harness because they do everything else in a harness. In the same way that a lot of homos do everything else other than urinate in a public toilet.
Bruce, are all flight attendants queers?
I really
Only the bloke.
advise the work.
Where's the
Andy,
bloke?
Andy, I'm talking. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, darling. Sorry.
Thank you.
I do apologise.
Pipe down. Thank you.
You are better than me.
Flight attendants queer. I hate the word queer. I really do. It's been so overused now. I was at a gig in Newcastle. This woman came over and went, "Me and my husband are queer." I went, "I couldn't give a shit whether you live or die. I'm not sleeping with either of you. You need to fuck away from me, and your breath smells." So I would say the vast majority of flight attendants are big bummers.
Yeah, and they got in there and they thought, oh, this decor's a bit strange and new and
It depends
spicy.
on the, because I checked out the story, and initially after I saw the headline, I thought, okay, well, maybe they are being a bit too, too touchy or whatever. But then I saw the pictures.
Well,
Right, there were cages, like human dog cages. I mean, if I were tired,
The thing is, Nick, some homosexuals like to be in a cage. They like the crate training. That's the whole thing. So yeah,
some of them. But what about the ladies? They are not necessarily.
I don't think the ladies were there. I don't think.
What, the ladies on the
Yeah.
plane?
Yeah, the flight attendants.
Well, they are dogs, yeah.
Have you ever seen Donald blow the shumper?
Yes.
there was also a bathtub shaped like a vagina, I believe. And the thing is, they claimed that they couldn't get sleep because all the other guests were moaning like a horde of zombies all throughout the night. I mean, do we have some sympathy with them in regards to that?
Were the walls thin or fat? Are they thin walls?
I don't know. If you've been into Travel Lodge, the same thing happens. You can hear people doing a whole host of things.
Got a point there.
Well, who knows? But maybe they're in a Premier Inn. But the fact of the matter is, I just thought that a Milan sex club would have been a classier affair. I thought, over and above the fact that they weren't in the right accommodation, it just looked cheap. It looked tacky.
I mean, Bruce told me something over the phone in confidence, which I'm about to betray. But I believe you went there as well, didn't you, Bruce?
I own it. So
Yes, good.
that's the whole thing. But I've given myself a great review on Trustpilot.
I don't want to give off the wrong impression or vibe, but as modest comics, usually we are booked, and Bruce knows this, when we do Comedy Unleashed, we are booked into Travel Lodge and at best Premier Inn. So I personally wouldn't mind a bit of a variety, not engaging in the activities, but just for the sake of decor.
For the ambience.
Yeah, exactly.
For the voyeurism.
It's something different.
The voyeurism. Just have a little peek, have a little look, and knock one out.
Yeah.
We're going to have Dominic Frisby's second clip now, and whether you're right wing or left wing or somewhere in the middle, you've got to admit he really knows how to put it all together. Hope you enjoy this.
Polite and smart and punctual. It once was good to be. You answered for your actions, and a woman was a she. You'd stand up for your people, if needs be, even fight. But now, if you uphold such values, then you are... Oh, we're all far right now, we're all far right now. Peterson, Rogan, Shapiro, E-I-E-I-E-I-O. We worship Mussolini, his portraits in the loft. Must say Twitter, Heil Hitler, we're all far right now. Oh, you say you're in the middle, and moderate private individual, a Gladstonian liberal. You once laughed at Donald Trump, you're probably a fascist too. There once was a great speaker called Martin Luther King. Said character's what matters, not the colour of your skin. But conduct doesn't count now, just your identity. If you should ever question this, you're racist, obviously. Oh, we're all racist now, we're all racist now. Off to the gallows we must go, E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Worse than Winston Churchill, worse than Enoch Powell, Ku Klux Klan and Jimmy Fallon. We're all racist now. Oh, the countryside is racist, dogs and cats are racist, eating meat is racist, Black Lives Matter's even racist. Do you know what's also racist? You. Found out I am dyslexic. I thought I was just thick. My son, he is dyspraxic. I'd presumed he was a dick. My girlfriend is bulimic. My mate's got OCD. My mother is bipolar. That gives me anxiety. Oh, we're all mental now, we're all mental now. Off to the nut house we must go. Nutty as a fruitcake, demented and deranged, cuckoo, psycho, wacko, loco. We're all mental now. Oh my, what is coming next? What is coming next? What is coming next? Oh my, what is coming next? We're probably all pedos too. Dirty little pedo, hang around the Lido in your little speedos, far right.
Somebody has asked me to ask the only Iranian president, what's going to happen in Iran then?
Well, I don't want to aggravate the Jew and guy, but looks like President Trump, and I don't know if he's still connected or he had, of course, more important matters to tend to. Looks like President Trump has set his heart really, really badly on a Nobel Peace Prize. So that's why he was so adamant for Iran and Israel to observe the ceasefire. I'm not optimistic that the ceasefire will last, because now the Iranian regime knows that the only way to stay is the nuclear bomb. They knew that before, they are even more convinced now. Ukraine was invaded because they gave up their nukes. Gaddafi was toppled because he gave up his nukes. Saddam was toppled because he didn't have nukes. He pretended to have them, but he didn't. So Iranians will go after nukes and they will not learn, because that's the only way they can guarantee their existence. But President Trump, he came on with the promise of sorting out Ukraine, sorting out Gaza. He hasn't managed to, not through his own fault, because it takes two to tango. So he really, really wants to sort out the Iranian thing, but Iran is not going to learn, and Israel is going to go after them at some point.
Angela, you have become quite a popular figure, even more than you were before in your party. And I've heard that people are calling you up and turning you into something of an agony aunt instead of a politician, and that you're actually helping people with agony aunt questions. So we took the liberty of asking a few of our viewers if they had any questions for you, and we got a couple here. One of them from somebody quite well known on social media.
Social media sensation and blogger June Slater.
June Slater.
Right, so from June Slater, dear our aunt, since I've been under this diabolical regime of Keir Starmer, I've noticed I haven't had as much spare cash as I used to have. Under the Tories, I had at least the price of a McDonald's meal deal as a weekly treat. Now I can't even afford to put my toaster on. I'm now self-employed as an asylum seeker shoplifter. I've done full training. Look, surely dress down and make sure you have BO to avoid arrest. Do you have any tips for the future? Thanks, June Slater.
Wow. I don't even know where to start with that. I'm pretty certain that she's probably committed about 6 non-crime hate incidents in just that question alone. And I don't believe for a second that she can't afford a Mackey's. Everybody can afford a Mackey's, but if she is really struggling, she can get a Tesco's meal deal. Everybody raves about Tesco's meal deals, so maybe she just needs to downgrade to that. I don't really see what the problem is. And anyway, you know, these far-right adjacent people, because I know she's a far-right adjacent, you can tell by who follows her. They've got money coming in. And in fact, we've already told them you've got more money in your pockets, whether they realise it or not. But people like June, who goes on GB News and Dan Wootton and all of that, she's got money rolling in. So I don't believe for a second she can't afford to put a toaster on, or she can't afford a Mackey's, or she can't even afford a Tesco's meal deal. We obviously know that she can, but she's just doing it to rile up her base. And this is what they do. They get riled up and then they start posting absolute nonsense on X. And, you know, they're all reform voters as well. All of them reform voters. This is what we have to put up with all the time. We just choose to ignore it. Our is very good at ignoring this sort of nonsense.
So possibly with June Slater moaning about Tesco meal deals, not being able to afford them, she could start another Southport riot or something to that extent.
Well, she probably would. You know, maybe she'll be in the next cell next to Lucy. Who knows?
Yeah. So you've got another one from Gary McGee. Dear our Ange, would you like to be PM one day? And is being Deputy PM really a nothing job or a stepping stone into number 10?
PM.
Are you having a laugh? A nothing job? Is that, Gary, seriously, a nothing? You think my job is a nothing job? How have you? I do so much. I do all the houses, been building them. That's happening. I've been doing the employment rights bill. That takes a lot of work. I've got loads of side projects as well. And I have to deal with our David when he keeps making a fool of himself on the world stage. That's hard enough. But our Ed running around trying to serenade people with kids' guitars outside of wind farms, it's very, very difficult at the moment to keep us Labourers under control. And you're telling me I've got a nothing job. I do not have a nothing job. And anyway, I don't want the top job. I do not want the top job. Listen, I am very happy where I am as Deputy Prime Minister. I do not want to be doing Arakia's job. He's doing it so well, and the British people are behind him. They love him. They think he's doing a cracking job, and he is. So there you go. So I don't know what Gary is banging. There's a lot of misinformation in these messages that are coming out here with June and Gary. I bet June and Gary know each other, don't they?
I think it's present to spread more misinformation, Angela, because Andy's subject is Labour trying to ban banter in pubs.
Yeah, and is that comedian? You know what I mean? I'm your everyman, bit yin, bit yang, bit yingy, bit yangy. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not a hawk, not a dove, more like a crow. I'd like to just tell you what's coming down a caca tube from the government. Government loves spending our money. The proposed amendment to the 2010 Equality Act that was debated in Parliament on June the 17th, 2025, nicknamed the ban. Hey, the ban, what a nose. This would make employers or pub landlords, Al Murray would be turning in his grave if he were dead, but he's not dead. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it would make the old landlords liable for not failing to stop and prevent harassment of their staff by third parties, i.e. pissed up cokeheads, junkies, you know, and alkies, you know, and such like. If the harassment relates also to protected characteristics, i.e. age, race, gender, fat people, you have the British pub. You have the British pub since the Victorian times till the 1980s. You used to have the public bar. You used to have the saloon bar, you used to have the private bar, and you had the snug for the ladies and the homeowners, right? So you had working class people in the boozer, you had governors, you know, like lords and ladies in the saloon bars paying a bit extra. And they're all having a little banter. They used to kind of talk amongst each other. It was a bit of cross-pollination there. Everybody knew their place. Now that's all going to go with this banter, banning the banter bollocks. Honestly, I'm fucking fan. What can we say? All I can say about the banter bum, ban, pubs.
I want to ban the
bum.
Banter the bum.
Banter the bum banter. Pubs will be quieter than a library in a blackout. You could have pub monitors, I suppose. Banter bouncers, get in there, or I'd stop bantering and knock you out. You know, you could have a banter offence checklist, self-reporting sort of banter buzzers, the feelings police, yeah. They, you know, you could have the police, you know, the feelings squad. They could be all in
You
pink.
can have banter marshals, like have COVID marshals. Banter marshals.
Listen, I'm just going to jump in right now. There is no banter ban. It is not a banter ban. It is about this encouraging respect. That's all it is. It's about respect. RESPECT. It is about encouraging.
Is that a new
respect.
party? Is that
And
Respect. You suffer from deputy PMT?
right, well, I don't know what he's going on about, but I'll tell you this because my time is
Don't do
limited.
it.
I'm going to have to go in a
Don't do
minute
it.
because our Kia's on the phone.
He's on
But
daily.
there's no banter ban. It's not happening. It is about encouraging respect, and I stand by it.
Yeah, but what about the respect with the banter?
Well, look, banter is fine. Just don't offend anybody. It's that simple.
So I can't call James a cunt and whilst having a laugh.
Well, you could just make sure nobody overhears it. That's all it is. Just be respectful of your surroundings. That's all we're asking.
But President Trump can say fuck.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's
And
America.
you wanna-
They do what they want.
But
They've
this
got
is
the
another
First
thing I
Amendment
have to
and-
ask. This is another thing I have to ask you, Andrew. I am a hideous bigot. Well, I pretend to be in order to sound more interesting at dinner parties. You know, they'll say that James is into embroidery and casual racism. I'm not really. It makes me sound more interesting. All my supposed bigotry goes ignored by the police. All I want, Angela, is a young strapping policeman to come to my door with some handcuffs. Why don't they do it?
And instruction.
Yeah, do
Well,
they,
keep
can they not
talking.
spend-
Listen.
You've got to fund them more.
Keep talking, and they probably will come round to your house if you carry on gobbing off the way that you have been.
Well, nothing screams a great night out like a summons for sarcasm. That's all I can say. You know what I mean?
A change is as good as the rest.
Yes. So what do you think's going to happen? Just having a little laugh with your mates. Next minute, you're getting your collar felt.
Yeah.
I think it's not forcible. That's all.
Yeah, how would the governor do it? How would the bloke who owns the pub do it? Oh, look, he's getting tired. No, he's come back. Oh,
May I take down your particulars?
Well, that is misogyny right there. Honestly, you're doing yourselves no favours right now.
Oh, do you have a vagina as well? This is misogynistic to hold.
It might be a.
Well, that's a penis that actually identifies as a vagina.
This is actually a double vagina from NATO today.
Wow. 2 holes.
2 holes is better than 1.
Aaron 2 holes, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, Nathan, today.
Boom.
Well,
Well.
Just on the
Okay.
thing about you know Trumpy and you know like because he was a you know wall builder, a great wall builder. He's built a great wall with him. Well, like our Winston Churchill, we built a nice big wall, didn't he? He was famous for that big wall. Like he was famous for walls. All I'll say about Winnie Churchill, he was a way he could build a wall and all. He actually built his wall as opposed to Trump, who got Mexicans to build the bloody wall. You know what I'm saying? It's just-
Right. So, Bruce, did you have another story?
No, I had the one.
You had the one story. Okay, so where are we
I
now?
think that's pretty much wrapping up.
Okay,
Can I ask Angela something?
sure.
Speaking of respect,
Yeah, what are you doing later, babe?
no. I was wondering, that basic instinct moment in the parliament, was that real or made up by the media? And if it was real, would you plan to do it again to distract the shadow cabinet?
Well, they're easily distracted with their own stupidity, so I don't think I need to distract them with anything, frankly. But no, you don't listen to rumours and stuff like that. It's absolute nonsense.
So it wasn't real.
Was it
All of the rumours are not true.
Was
So
it
there you go.
misinformation? So if it wasn't,
It's
then it's great.
it is total misinformation. I'm sick of
That's
it now.
brilliant then, Angela. Don't you worry.
Misogyny and misinformation, all the M's.
Well, that's about it, folks. And I want to thank you very much for watching. It's our first show. We hope we got at least some of it right and you enjoyed it and had some laughs. We don't know who that funny character with the flags and everything running around was. He seems to have snuck in.
And to improve security.
Yeah, we have to improve security, definitely.
He snuck out as well.
He snuck out, he's disappeared, yeah. But we want to thank you for watching. It's been a great show. We've all really enjoyed it. We hope you liked President Trump and Deputy Prime Minister Angela, especially Angie as an agony aunt. That's quite something, wasn't it? We didn't know she was doing it these days. And we look forward to seeing you again at the same time next week. And have a great week in between, and be sure to keep smiling and keep laughing, because that is the best medicine. Good night.